Hey everyone, I'm Rachel,
And I'm Jen, and welcome to Devilish Bookworms, the podcast.
where we read and review books and release episodes every Tuesday.
This week we have Ace of Spades by Jekka Wilde.
Yay!
We all know the original story of Alice in Wonderland. But what happens when Alice finds herself in Wonderland as an adult instead of as a child? Well, Wonderland isn't so wonderful in all the ways that it should be. In this retelling, we find out everything that we knew is turned upside down, madder than the Hatter, and spicier than the Queen of Hearts attitude. Alice must find a way to save Wonderland before it's too late. The question is, can she do it?
Dun dun dun.
Boom. Mic drop. I'm sorry.
Boom.
So, Rachel, let's dive right in.
So this book is, as Jen said, a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. It's a novella at about like 240 pages. And I want to start off by reading the note to the reader from Jekka herself because I absolutely loved it. Jen, did you read it?
Ma'am, I have it highlighted as well.
So in the very beginning, she says, "Dear reader, I feel obliged to remind you one last time that this is not a story about honorable gentlemen treating women like well-mannered ladies. The following book contains offensive language, depraved sex scenes, and numerous triggers that have been woven into a barely plausible plotline. There's so much filthy, gratuitous smut in this book that due to its content, it should not be read by anyone. However, if you happen to be a freak like me, then buckle up and enjoy the ride because it's a wild one."
Oh, so great.
I think it was so funny to me. My favorite part of the whole thing is that have been woven into a barely plausible plot line. Because it was just so funny. I'm like, there was like at least one time in the book where I was like, yeah, she knew what she wrote. Barely plausible plot line. It was so funny. So, Jen, were you a big fan of Alice in Wonderland or and I mean specifically the books or the Disney cartoon?
So, actually, before the Disney cartoon, I had seen, I want to say it was like a 1957 version of Alice in Wonderland. It was like actual human people. She grew
Right.
inside of a house. Like it was really trippy and weird, but that's actually the my first Alice in Wonderland experience, and I watched that one for a while before I really got into the Disney Alice in Wonderland. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I've never actually read the book ever.
Neither have I.
I'm so glad because I felt like such a jackass that I was so wanting an Alice in Wonderland book, and I'm like, I've never actually read the original book. Yeah.
So, would you say that one, the original one that you watched, or like the one that you saw first, was like your favorite adaptation?
No, for sure it was not. Um,
Okay,
um,
what's your favorite so far?
obviously the Johnny Depp version.
Oh, okay.
I, I, okay, listen, he plays the Mad Hatter so freaking perfectly that I absolutely love that. But
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know why, but I prefer watching that one now. But back when I was a kid, it was the Disney one, all out.
Can I tell you something that is
I'm
probably going to break your brain?
I'm gonna be so excited for this.
I've never seen the Johnny Depp version.
What?
I saw part of some of them like once, but I never really cared enough to sit down and watch them.
You did break my brain.
I know. Because out of the both of us, it's Johnny Depp.
I know, and you've watched every single Johnny Depp movie ever created in existence. Like,
No,
what
I
is
wish that was true, but I have not yet.
okay?
Most of them,
Well,
yes.
I like my heart hurts for you. Okay, so I'm not a big Anne Hathaway fan. Like, she's okay.
Really?
I listen, she's okay. I don't mind her, but I'm not like
Mhm.
huge on her.
Oh, I love her.
She's in the movie, dude.
I know she is. She's the White Queen. I've seen
Yes.
that part. I saw the part with her and Helena, and I've seen parts that, like, I've seen clips online and stuff.
I need you to make that my Christmas present to me. Like,
That I watched Alice.
yes, please.
Okay. I will do that for you.
Oh,
If
oh no.
so, my favorite adaptation of
Okay.
Alice in Wonderland is the sci-fi version of Alice. It's called Alice it was from 2009, and it has Kathy Bates, Tim Curry. Um, I can't remember her name, but like in she plays McDreamy's sister in Grey's Anatomy. She got brown hair, blue eyes. She's a recovering addict.
Katerina
Whatever.
Scarzoni.
Yeah. Um, she plays Alice, and then there's this guy named Andrew Lee Potts, and he plays the Mad Hatter, and I used to have the fattest crush on him. But it's just like it's so good.
Okay.
It's
I'll
my
watch it.
favorite.
I'll for sure watch it.
Perfect. We're gonna have all kinds of Alice in Wonderland content in our lives.
I'm here for it, dude. Because there's still another Alice in Wonderland series that I want to read. So
I downloaded another one.
is it
I
the
can't
one I
remember what
sent you?
is it? Hold on. It's called poor Jekka. She's like, none of this has anything to do with my book. um, it's
Don't worry,
called
we'll get to that.
Alice in the Land of Clover.
Huh.
What that says?
Interesting.
Yeah, Alice in the Land of Clovers by B.A. Lovejoy.
Okay.
I don't know.
Hey, who knows? It might be good. Oh yeah,
And
that's the other one that I sent you.
yeah, you definitely sent it to me.
There's still okay. So maybe there's another one that I
Jesus Christ, woman.
I know, but it just okay, so there's Alice the Dagger that I want to read. Then there's also come on. Of course I'm not going to be able to find it. But regardless, there's another one that I really want to read that was suggested as well. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, ooh,
I feel like it's a lot of Alice in Wonderland.
I'm here for it.
How did you feel about the way Alice was at the beginning of the book? So when we are introduced to Alice, she's at a party. She's basically a Kardashian in the middle of a scandal, right?
Stop it. Because I actually wrote down, I highlighted a part and I wrote, oh my God, this sounds very Kardashian.
I feel like that's not a stretch because it was almost a mirror image of one of the Kardashian, or not even one of them, literally all of them. She's got like three sisters.
Oh yeah, there was a sex tape leaked and
Yeah.
one's a model. Oh yeah, like literally everything that I kept pulling, I was like, ew, that's pretty Kardashian. And then they also mention an NFL quarterback, and I was like, it's not a stretch to OJ.
Excuse me.
Okay, so there's this whole rumor that OJ Simpson and I
Oh
can't
yeah, is Chloe's
Chloe
dad.
Card yeah. So I was like, that's not a far stretch from the Kardashians either. But to get back to your question, I was a little irritated by her. She seemed very whiny and just very spoiled, and I could not with her. I think what really got me was the fact that she didn't take any responsibility for her own actions and her own fuck ups, as most people do. So, yeah. But what about you? What did you think of her?
Um, I loved it. I thought it was so much different. Normally, people portray Alice as being like this sweet, innocent, or like humble kind of person. And the
Mhm.
fact that she was like this, spoiled, like, and she was very introspective. You know what I mean? Like she um understood a lot of things. Like she did, of course, try and run away from her problems, like but she was very introspective on what it meant to be like living in the limelight and having basically everything you ever wanted ever just handed to you. So I dug that. But I thought it was a cool, like, different kind of take.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Can I
Uh,
say that I love books of like the rich and famous? Like when a character, like, if a character is, struggling, or they're like middle class or poor or whatever, like, sure, I love those books. But I also very much love reading books of like powerful, like, billionaires, or like people who are like well off, because it's like that. It's like that fantasy, you know what I mean?
mhm.
I get to live vicariously through the people in the books.
I can see that.
Tell me about your problems, spoiled Alice.
And see, me, I'm like kind of the opposite. Like, I don't want to hear, oh, I couldn't get my daddy's credit card today so I could buy my Louis Vuitton. And I'm like, just shut up.
Well, I don't
I
think that Alice was like that.
No, but at the same time, I felt like she couldn't stand on her own.
Sure.
So I mean, it to me, it wouldn't be a far stretch for her to need mommy and daddy to come bail her out, or to, just keep providing money for her so she didn't have to do a damn thing. Because what did she do when she failed? She ran and started getting shit faced.
Well, yeah, I mean,
So
but that's the night of.
yeah.
I like to see, because okay, so I'm not one of those people that thinks that just because person A has it worse off than person B, that person B shouldn't complain, you know?
No, I
And
I
so
get
like
that.
I like seeing things from like different people's points of view, which I think is why I like well, I that's one of the reasons why I like reading anyway, right? Like I want to see things from different from people who experience or are experiencing different things than me.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, I just like it.
See, I kind of I'm more of the read to escape my own problems, not to be submerged into somebody else's.
Sure. So when Alice is in the club, she has her friend named Dinah, who's her assistant, and she like goes everywhere with her, and she like um gives her like her blue pill to calm down. It's like her Xanax or whatever. And then she goes away and leaves Alice kind of on her own. And then Alice meets this guy who's like dressed up all in white, and he has like a pocket watch. I mean, he's the White Rabbit, and he uh recognizes her. She like chases after him, and then all of a sudden, she's in Wonderland. And when we go into Wonderland, she walks up on the White Rabbit talking to two people. One's name is Chess, and the other is Callister.
I'm gonna backtrack for just a second, because the one of the big things that I love that she did, that she changed, was Alice usually falls down a hole. All right. And granted, she fell down a hole, but usually this hole is like in a tree, or, somewhere outside in like wilderness. This time they actually made the hole for Wonderland inside of a house in the middle of a city. And I thought that was a really great way to adapt it to the surroundings that she was actually in at that time, because obviously this million or billion dollar girl is actually like in the limelight. She's in the city. She's in front of all the people.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you figure out a way to get her to go down the quote unquote rabbit hole without getting her out to the country? And the way that they did it is they let her into a house and she falls down the hole.
Mm-hmm.
And when she gets to these two, and all of a sudden you're in a deplorable place where it smells horrible, it looks horrible, it smells like it's rotting, is what she describes it as. And I'm just like, this is definitely not the typical Wonderland, and I love that. First off. And then you meet these two. It was the Cheshire Cat and the caterpillar, quote unquote. And with the way that these two look or are described, I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have been hightailing it the other way trying to find a way out. But obviously that's not this story. But what did you think when you heard teal hair, tattoos everywhere, and just a downright kind of gorgeous looking guy?
Who is that? Callister?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like Callister.
Okay, you didn't like him at all.
Like at all. I don't like him in the beginning. I don't like him in the middle. I don't like him at the end.
Okay.
He was just I know what he was trying to be. He was trying to be like that like really hard kind of like nothing phases me. And then I do want you, but I'm not going to tell you that. And I was just over it. He was just a dick.
He was.
I
really
would have
was.
been. Here's the thing: is obviously like I wouldn't have, but what I would have totally been okay if he had just not been in the book at all.
So, fun fact: the next book, he doesn't get any better.
I will say I dug Chess. Chess was my favorite. I know that we're getting really early for the favorite characters, and I have a backup favorite character, but it was Chess all day long.
Well, that's because he was, well, I can see that because he was really sweet and just, he seemed to be more into fighting for her than anybody else was in that book.
Well, yeah, and just less of a colossal asshole.
That too. But still touch her and die.
Yeah. I kind of dig when people are described as feline, because there's something in that where it's like all the motions are like fluid and languid, like kind of like how vampires are described, where everything is like a little predatory but also, like holding back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I dug his character.
I can dig that.
You know what I thought was weird? Like, I know that I've said it to you before, but like, so in the very, very beginning, she said that she could feel Caterpillar's jealousy, but like, how? Like how he's shown no interest in you whatsoever. He's actually actively a douchebag. Like how? And like she's like, I can feel jealousy rolling off in him in waves. Really? By his disinterested face? Is that how? By his rude ass comments? Is that how you can feel his jealousy?
Yeah, I never got an inkling that he was really interested. Like, yeah, there was a couple of moments where he does say, well, I would, but this.
Well, the only way you can tell is by his point of view. If we didn't have those little snippets from his point of view, you'd never know.
Exactly. Because he, like you said, he was a fucking dick.
Yeah. And like, sure, that's how some people, like some people don't show their emotions, like they don't show their interest or whatever. But that wasn't the problem that I had. The problem that I had was like, oh, I can feel his jealousy. No, you can't.
Yeah.
No, you can't. What would make you think that?
Yeah, she seemed to project a lot.
Yeah, she did.
I'm not gonna lie, like I wasn't 1,000% on board with Alice. Like she was okay, but I like a couple of the other characters better.
Yeah. I loved the way that Jekka describes scenery. Like
Ooh.
Callister and Chess's house, the
Mm-hmm.
bathroom.
Oh,
Ugh,
yes.
it was so dreamy.
Oh, absolutely. And everything that she really does describe, she really does do it well because
Mm-hmm.
she gets down to the nitty-gritty with smells and sounds and just all around look of just disgust and all that. And it does really put you in the moment right then and there.
It does, because when you have a scene such as her taking a bath, you're absolutely correct in saying that, like, she described everything. So she described the feel of the water, the smell of the soap, like the sounds of whatever. Like, she didn't just, it wasn't just um one sense or two senses that kind of had to carry the weight of the scene. It was everything. And so you fully felt it. You felt as relaxed as she did when she came out of that bathtub and then wrapped herself up in a fluffy robe. And then, when they were out in, the, because they go from the house where she like takes a bath and like gets all freshened up, and then they go to the tea party and meet Hatter, and then you can really feel the kind of, chaos going on.
Now, this Hatter's Tea Party isn't the type that we're used to in any of the versions.
But I think it's exactly what you think it is.
It
You know what I mean?
is.
Like, it's very much what you would assume going into a book like this. Like, you know what it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Oh yeah, you knew that there was going to be something like this when you heard all the spice was going to be in it. And Jekka did not disappoint during during that scene. I'm sorry, but you've got just so much going on in just that one tiny little scene. It's like
Mm-hmm.
a chapter, and it's like, what the fuck did I just read?
Yeah. There was something that Hatter said, that was so, it was so Wonderland. Hold on, what was it? Um, uh, First of all, can we go to just a quick aside? When the rabbit was talking to Callister and Chess, Alice goes, "These are your associates, a bitchy caterpillar and a demon cat fuckboy."
Oh my God, that was so funny. But at the same time, I think around that same time frame, there was also a part where Callister's like sitting there talking about this is our champion. She's so fucking old. And I'm like, old? Old? She's fucking 26. What do you mean she's old?
Well, yeah, but if all of the other Alices were, I mean,
Like
because
10, 11.
yeah, and this, it's explicitly stated in the story that all of the other Alices, they had a very different relationship with, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
there there was a big difference between the way that they treated this Alice and then the way that they treated the young Alices. So all of their other Alices were like children. And so I mean, comparatively, yeah, she was old.
Yeah, it made me fucking feel old as fuck. Anyways, as you were saying about Callister and the White Rabbit.
So I was thinking, I wrote down this quote that Hatter says, but he doesn't say it until later on. And I thought that it was at the tea party, but it's not. It's when they're on their quest. Alice found out that he had information that he didn't relay to her. And she was like, well, why didn't you say so? And she goes, why didn't you say so before? And he says, it was the very first thing I said. His mouth twisted into a little smirk. I simply didn't think to say it out loud. That was such a Hatter thing to say.
It really was. Ugh. Like, honestly, I think I know you talked about your favorite character, but I think Hatter was definitely my favorite character because
Yeah.
he, like, obviously he had that non-lucid brain, like
Mhm.
we expect, but at the same time, like, he still sat there and was caring and all of the things that he should have been as a, well, not a gentleman. I can't say he was a gentleman at all. But as one should be. Like, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I thought it was hot how he was deranged.
Oh God, yeah. Thank you.
Like he was so crazy. And it reminds me of okay, Christopher Titus is my favorite comedian. And in
Okay.
his special Love is Evil, he's talking about his mom and his dad's relationship. And he said something along the lines, I'm literally just saying this off the cuff, right? He said something along the lines of like um their relationship was held together by sex and mental illness, which my dad thought was hot. It just made me think. As soon as I was like, oh man, Hatter's so insane. I'm really into it. I was like, Chris Titus.
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious. No, he really was like, oh, excuse me. He really was like that hot deranged guy that was still like really sweet. And yeah, I dug it.
Yeah. So they're at the tea party. They kind of like recruit Hatter to the cause. And essentially it comes out that to um defeat the Red Queen, Alice needs to find the sword and to kill the Jabberwocky. And so the Hatter was the last one to have it. And so they go to where Hatter put it last. Um and it's a giant labyrinth. It's a giant like plant maze.
Oh, I was obsessed with that because of all the different poisonous plants that they had and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, that was definitely. I mean, she had all of the elements of Alice in Wonderland, but they were different, right? Like she had like the plants, except instead of pretty flowers that talked to you and were bitchy, they were like, you know, uh
poisonous that
poisonous
could,
plants to keep, huh?
I was gonna say poisonous plants that melt off your skin.
Yeah, facts. I love how she got all cocky and she's like, I wanna lead the charge or whatever. And he's like, okay, so lead the charge. And then what happens as soon as she does? She messes
Not
up.
yeah, not even a second into it. She's like, ah. I think that was, to me, those moments where she fucks up were the best because it put her back in place. It made her understand that she wasn't as hot shit as she thought. And
But yeah, there was a lot of character development in it.
there really was.
I mean, not total like not a total character arc because there's other books
Yeah.
in which that happens, but yeah, no, um she does start seeing things from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. And okay, so in that labyrinth, they come across some of the queen's soldiers. And both Chess and the Hatter are ready to fight, and they have their special ways of fighting. Okay. And they say, Alice, imagine a weapon to protect yourself. This bitch comes out with a fucking cast iron frying pan, and I lost it.
Idiot. Such an idiot.
Like, every time she took a step forward in my book, she took two back.
Can we talk about for a second, though, how rad it is that Wonderland was completely like 100% run on imagination? So, like, you just imagine something and it happens. You want to change your dress, boom, it's different. Like, the second the thought comes into your head, which is, of course, kind of scary, with some of the things that pops into our heads, but also how rad.
Honestly, I think that would be like really freaking cool for like brief amounts of time. I don't think I could fully immerse myself into it and live in that 24/7.
How, like, you'd have to figure out a way to control it.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's just like to have everything be so wonderful all the time. I don't think I could handle all that. It's tough enough just getting those bits of happiness as it is. Never mind full overwhelming. Hey, you have an imagination, use it. Get anything you want.
Well, I don't know that it would be exactly like that, though, because like she can imagine anything she wants and she still has hard times. Like, there's still like the Wonderland is still dying, like, or not dying, but like rotting.
Well, yeah, I understand. But if this was a perfect world, I'm talking.
Gotcha. So with that, with talking about the Queen's henchmen, I just want to mention how much gore is in this book. Like, it's a little tiny novella, and like the parts that were not like, triple X rated, the parts that weren't that were basically just blood and guts.
Yep. Fact.
Yep.
Literally, she describes the way that these two fight and amputate body parts. It is awful, but it's great. Like, it's awful, but it is great. But now this is where I'm having a difficult time because I have jumped ahead and I've read book 2. So it's like some of the points that I'd like to say are not necessarily spoilers, but I can't remember if they are from book 1 or book 2.
Yeah.
So,
well,
which is
also,
why I'm having a moment.
Also, I don't think that we can say even more, like much more about this book because we're bordering on spoilers anyway, right? Like,
Right.
Not because it's Alice in Wonderland, right? But also, like, there are still bits that we don't want to like give away too much, We still want you to read the book.
Yeah, you need to watch out for those fuzzy pink bunnies.
Yo, if we're not talking about Chess being my favorite character, then it's the fuzzy pink bunnies.
I know.
1,000%. I almost don't want to say why, but like,
oh no, don't say why. Don't do it. They were my favorite thing in the book. Well, maybe not my favorite thing in the book, but they were one of my favorite things in the book.
I know what your favorite thing in the book was.
You do not know what my favorite thing was. Get out of my head.
But yeah, those fuzzy pink bunnies, I just can't.
Oh my God. The thing about Jekka's writing is it's done so well. Like, she's very descriptive. She's very much able to get you to immerse yourself into a full story. The fact that she was able to get me to immerse myself into not one, but 2 books within a week, I have to applaud her because it's been a stretch for me to actually be able to sit there and dive into a book like that and finish that quickly. I mean, I finished this book in literally 2 days.
I mean, it's a novella. It's only 240 pages.
Yeah, but there are some weeks that a 300-page book just takes me the entire fucking week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, smut aside, I think her writing was enough for me to sit there and like want to keep reading.
Yeah.
So,
Like, I'll go ahead and I'll say, so one of the quotes that I saw early on that I thought was just gorgeous was the way that she was talking about the darkness of the forest. She was saying how dark it was. And she said, the twisted shadows seemed to dance around me as the city's darkness closed in, threatening to swallow me whole. Oh, that wasn't about the forest. It was about the city when she's like chasing after the rabbit, I think.
yep.
But the twisted shadows seemed to dance around me as the city's darkness closed in, threatening to swallow me whole. That's gorgeous because it just like, shadows come at night, shadows come when it's dark, right? And like she's talking about the city, which normally is full of light, but she's saying the city's darkness, which then reinforces darkness without being like, hey guys, it's really dark. And then threatening to swallow me whole, which gives you that claustrophobia feeling, that kind of like disappearing angle, which further reinforces it being dark without being like, hey guys, it's really dark, you know?
Yep.
It was just
And then
beautiful.
I have to agree with that. And it's funny because I actually highlighted a different part where she was talking about darkness. And it says, as I picked myself up from the ground, it occurred to me that maybe this dark, twisted place was of the perfect reflection of the darkness within my soul, the emptiness I'd felt for so long. And literally, it's just like she hit the marks, just there was so many different ways that she described different things or even brought it back to an original thought that she had in the beginning or towards the beginning and still was able to tie it in. And for me, that's huge. Like there's not a lot of authors that can do that, and to stay consistent with the thoughts throughout the book is, in my opinion, key. So
Absolutely.
so yeah. Did you have any other favorite quotes?
So I did. Okay. So there was one part that Chess said, damn, she was stunning, especially when covered in the blood of our enemies.
Oh, I know what's
um and then there was one part, it was actually sweeter than I normally like outside people to know. But Hatter said, hold on, baby, I'll take care of you. And I was just like, oh, my heart. And then this is what I was talking about when I said, um, like the feline kind of thing when people have those feline qualities. It says, slowly, ever so slowly, my Cheshire cat grin spread across my face. And you could picture it. Like you could just see it.
Oh yeah, that devilish little grin. Oh yeah. Yep, for sure.
What about you?
Um, for me, I think the only other one that like was really hit a note with me, um, was every time I tried trusting someone, I always ended up getting fucked over. Remy was a perfect example. People only seemed to let me down, and yet I still kept hoping that someday my luck would change. And I just really resonated with the quote, so hence why yeah.
That's why we highlighted that one.
Yep. But the one of the other ones that I highlighted was sometimes the greatest discoveries are made when we're lost.
Oh, cute.
It's simple, but you know,
That's the trick.
sometimes less is more. Okay. I have to ask you a question.
Okay.
Were you able to figure out the Hatter's riddle
Oh my God, like right after he said it.
Instantly, right?
It literally instant. And I'm terrible with riddles. That was one of the things. There were a couple of things that I did have a problem. Overall, I really did enjoy reading this book. But that was one of the things that bugged, because I was like, okay, if I can get the riddle, I promise it would not take her that long to figure out the riddle.
I actually said, how dumb does this bitch need to be dumb? I mean, how do you not get that on the first try? Like, I'm not gonna say what the riddle was, but it was literally so stupid easy that most adults would understand what it is within seconds. Just average human. And she's like, I have no idea. Could it be this? Are you sure it's not a dick? I'm like, oh my God.
Ma'am, I get being thirsty, but Jesus Christ.
No kidding. But yeah, other than that, that was like my biggest hang up of the whole book, was that moment.
There was, so I had two notes on things that kind of bugged.
Okay.
And so one of them is in the very beginning. So she says, so they get to the tea party and Alice sits down and moves her chair in. And then like a second later, she sits down. I don't know if you caught that, but it was literally like she's talking to Hatter, or she like greets Hatter. She sits down, moves her chair in, and then he says something back to her, and then she sits down.
No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I was like, Madam, she already sat down. She can't sit down if she's sitting. And then there are a couple of other things that I wish got more description. So when she and Callister are doing their little like war or whatever at the tea party, like he says, oh, she's showing incredible skill, but like they don't say how, right? Or like when they're in the maze and she says, oh, it's worse than my nightmares. Okay, like how? Like they're not described, you know what I mean? And I feel like those would have been really cool places for us to get some awesome content that was not
spicy,
like sexual in nature, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
you know, I didn't really pick up on that, but yeah, that definitely would have been a great little alley to run down and with, you know.
Yeah. Which I guess is a good thing to have when your writing is so like captivating that people want more of it, you know.
Absolutely. I'm sorry if you heard that yawn, people. I'm literally running on 2 hours of sleep. I'm fucking exhausted.
She's always running on 2 hours of sleep.
It's because I completed my book nook. I needed to complete that.
Yo, that was so it was so funny. I was standing in my brother's kitchen and we were having like a really great conversation. And just for all of the people out there, like have deep, meaningful conversations with your loved ones, because it's really important. But anyway, we had just had our conversation and I'm sitting there and I opened Facebook and I was like, this bitch. And he goes, what? I was like, it's 2 a.m. and she's awake.
Yep, I literally had just finished gluing the last little bits on to the book nook, and yep. I was so proud. I was so happy.
I mean, I think it looks beautiful.
I think so too, even though my coat rack is not hanging the right way. I don't even think the coat is on the coat rack at this point. But yeah, I had so much fun building that. It was so much fun. My dad, I can't wait to tell him, Because he was like, what, did you get all upset and stop doing it? No, I just haven't had time to pick it back up. So now I get to be like, ha, look, I did it. Anyways,
Anywho.
so overall, you dug the book. Do you plan on reading the second book at all?
So, you know what's funny is this book I actually did enjoy, and I am going to recommend it to my sister-in-law, because she loved The Vicious Lost Boys by Nikki St. Crow.
Okay.
And she keeps asking me for something similar. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying. Like, I really want to recommend, or like, I have recommended Raise the Blood. I have recommended Gothic Canna. Like, I've recommended books that I really like. She hasn't read either of those. I gave her Master of Salt and Bones. And so, like, one of these millennia, she's going to read it.
Okay.
But she really wants something like The Vicious Lost Boys. And I almost feel like this would be a good one for her.
So, with that being said, I do agree that this is very much along the same lines as Lost Boys. But the second book is not like the Vicious Lost Boys, like the series. Like it takes a little bit of a skirt turn. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a lot of smut. But it's a little different. And it's, how do I put this? It's not as Wonderland-ish as the first book.
Okay, so whereas The Vicious Lost Boys like is pretty much like
Just a
solely
continuation. Yeah, exactly the same. Like in every book, it's the same, except just a continuation of the book. This, I'm not saying it's not worth reading, but it's just a little more demonic.
Yeah. So I did like this book. You know, I did enjoy reading this book. But I don't know that I'm going to read the second one because without going into spoilers, like the last bit of the book, I don't know, it just kind of took me out of it.
Okay. I can understand that, especially with knowing you. I can understand that.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I have gone ahead and read the second, and I have downloaded the third. And I'm wondering if Jekka has any future books that she has planned.
Well, what a fun segue. So, the way that you can find that out is by going to her social media accounts, such as her Instagram page, and her handle is at Jekka Wilde, JekkaWilde, and clicking on her link tree. And if you click on her link tree, it'll bring you to her links, where you'll find like the link to her Facebook, her TikTok, her Instagram, which you'd already be on if you went to Instagram to get to her link tree, but also her Amazon. She did do a Stuff Your Kindle, but on there you can also find like the Jekka's Wild Ones, her newsletter. And so if you sign up for her newsletter, you get bonus content, but also all of the upcoming things that she's working on. And the way that she does it is she also has a link on there where you buy directly from Jekka. And you can also go to her website, which is jekkawilde.com, and it's gorgeous. She has a very, first of all, I know that people's character and don't judge books by covers, and we're more than what we look like, but Jekka's gorgeous, by the way, just so that we're all aware. And her website is really fun. So it's like black and like neon colors, so neon pink, neon green, neon purple. Um, and you can just see all of her things. Um, at the moment, she only has The Wicked Boys of Wonderland, which is the series that we are currently discussing. She also has like merch. There's a really, really, really cute tote bag that's on her website. She has a tumbler, a hoodie, like all kinds of wicked cute stuff.
And you know what else she has?
Hmm.
Lots of plants.
Does she have lots of plants?
In one of her videos, I can see all sorts of Hoyas and oh, she's got a pencil cactus. Oh, she's got all sorts of fun little plants. Oh, she even has a calathea, a rattlesnake calathea.
Ugh,
Go Jekka, if you could
I
keep that
know.
alive.
For
Jesus.
real. Just instantly just disgusted with calatheas.
I know. They're such a bitch.
So Jekka actually lives in the northern United States, and I don't know, she just seems real rad. So I would say go, and even if you don't continue the series, I would say at least read the first book in the Wicked Boys of Wonderland.
Absolutely.
So Jen, why don't you tell everyone what we will be reading next week?
Okay, I'm excited. Next week we are reading A Curse of Light by Sarah Long.
Yay!
So, fun fact, one day I was scrolling on Kindle and saw a book that was about, well, it was something about King Arthur or something along those lines, and it sounded really good. And well, I lost it. Like I accidentally clicked the back button instead of clicking into it and it disappeared. I literally posted a thread just to find this book. So now we are reading it. So yeah, yay.
Yay!
So tune in next week and don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow and all the things. And chat with us, like we tell you every week.
Yeah, we will get better at being on socials. We just had to take a step back for a little bit because, first of all, there were a lot of Bridgerton spoilers, like right off the bat. And then poor Jen was trying to watch House of Dragons, but guess what? Those were all spoiled too. So she had to run away for a little bit. And then, um, I don't know, like all there, there's just been some things, but we will be back.
Don't worry, guys. I'm getting ready to start Bridgerton after this.
After these messages.
Yeah, hopefully I can at least make it through an episode before falling asleep. We shall see.
All right, everyone. Well, we will see you next Tuesday.
Cunt.
Bye.
Bye.